What is going on, my Houston Texans family? I missed you guys so much. Tickets to Houston Texans training camp practices are now available to get, but you better hurry because they are running out. I was able to secure tickets to every single open training camp practice to the public. So make sure you guys are following me on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok for the latest and daily Houston Texans news. My name is Ruben Calvillo, and this is the 713 Houston Sportcast. Hope you guys are having a very blessed day. ESPN has ranked the offseason for every NFL team, and guess the grade that they give the Houston Texans? A B minus. Now, if you were to ask any Houston fan, they would say this offseason was the best that the Houston Texans ever had. An offseason that we've been asking for. Do what you didn't do with Deshaun Watson, and that is invest into your team, into your quarterback while he is on his rookie deal. Because when it's going to come time to pay CJ Stroud, I saw a report that it could potentially be $70 to $80 million a season. That's how great CJ Stroud could potentially be. With that being said, guys, our window is right now. It is an arms race in the AFC South. Everyone is getting as much weapons as they can and making a playoff push. So let's go ahead and react to the post. You see right here, Houston Texans B minus. Biggest move, trading for wide receiver Stefon Diggs. Move I liked, extending wide receiver Nico Collins. Move I disliked, restructuring Diggs' contract into a one-year deal. Now, I think this tweet was from Jeremy Branham, so shout out to him for putting it out there. Let's just go ahead and continue. Houston is going for it. With quarterback CJ Stroud in year two after an electric rookie campaign, the Texans pushed their chips in. And this was the offseason that we all wanted them to do that after you have a year one where, with so many injuries, the Houston Texans were able to win 10 games, were able to win the AFC South, were able to get a playoff win. Year one was not supposed to happen, but because it did, you feel like you can have an opportunity to be one of the best NFL teams this upcoming season. Let's go ahead and continue. It started with a free agency splash to add edge rusher Danielle Hunter for a close to fully guaranteed 2-year, $49 million deal to rush the passer opposite of Will Anderson Jr. I would have preferred to keep John Gennard for cheaper, but adding a legitimate sack artist like Hunter is not a bad thing. The thing with John Gennard, we here felt in Houston that he was just not going to resign. If you ask some Houston Texans fans, they did not want the Texans to bring back Jonathan Gennard. Danielle Hunter was a splash. This is a guy who had 16 and a half sacks, someone who is from the Houston area, and he took less money to come play for the Texans, man. I love Jonathan Gennard. I hope he succeeds up there with the Minnesota Vikings, but you cannot go wrong with Danielle Hunter. Houston's home run came in a pre-draft trade that took advantage of Minnesota's quarterback desperation, earning a future second-round pick to move down from number 23 to number 42 in the draft. The part was an easy win, but they made a questionable choice with the profit by dealing that picks for Diggs. On the surface, the move was maybe defensible given Houston's timeline, but when the Texans agreed to give Diggs a pay raise and shorten his contract to a one-year deal, it became an expensive move for a one-year rental. Now, I think this is the only area where a lot of Houston Texans fans were left scratching their head because you had control of Stefon Diggs for the next 3 years. When you hear Nick Caserio say that this was something that Stefon Diggs asked for, then I think it's a little different. Because we all know the stories of Stefon Diggs being a locker room cancer. To be honest, that's not what the Houston Texans are looking into right now. So for them to kind of work together on this deal, because it was both sides. It started with Stefon Diggs all the way back in the Pro Bowl, talking to CJ Stroud, talking to Andre Johnson, hanging out with Larry Tunsil. And it was the Houston Texans making sure that they got the best deal possible, but also making sure that they get the best player possible. And Stefon Diggs entering just 1 year with the Houston Texans right now. I still think there could potentially be a deal done at the end of the year. If you ball out Stefon Diggs, you will get that big final payday. And I think that's kind of what they told him. If I if Nick went out there and told Stefon Diggs, hey, we are gonna void the final 3 years of your contract, which is what you are asking for. You give me the best. You could potentially earn yourself a final payday. You could potentially get yourself a Lombardi trophy. Let's try to make this work. This is one of the big moves, guys. This is one of the big moves. And for those continuing to say Stefon Diggs is a locker room cancer, if one guy can mess it up, did you really have a culture to begin with? Similarly, Houston's initial trade for running back Joe Mixon in exchange for a 7th-round pick was fine, if not good, but the Texans needlessly gave him a new contract, eliminating any value relative to his contract that Mixon possessed, and then some. Now, this is where I think the Houston Texans were kind of in a situation where they had to react to not getting Saquon Barkley. Because remember, that storyline was huge for about a month. And it felt like, not Stefon Diggs, but Saquon Barkley was kind of using the Houston Texans to get a better deal from the Philadelphia Eagles. And I don't mind you going all in for Saquon Barkley. The Houston Texans, they had a backup plan, and that was Joe Mixon. If you want your guy, go out there and get your guy. Houston did get a critical extension done at a value price. Collins is a star. And the fact that they were able to sign him to a new deal at just $24 million per year looks like a good price compared to other top flight receiver deals. 100%. Nico Collins, this deal was fantastic. He's the 7th highest paid receiver in the NFL. I believe he's still either 24 or 25, and he's going to be able to get himself a second big payday. Shout out to Nico Collins. Going for it in 24 is the right move for Houston, though. It has paid too much to do so, but this is a scary team to face, which was the goal. So it sounds like this reporter does like the Houston Texans and the move they made, but some of the moves were questionable. Now, in the offseason, you also have to look at Azeez Al-Shaair, who's your new starting linebacker, Danico Autry, who had 11 and a half sacks last year. You brought in 2 guys on a 1-year prove-it deal to be your number 2 cornerback spot, but also bringing back Bobby Slowick, bringing back Gerard Johnson. These moves were all huge, and they were all for your team, for CJ Stroud and your young quarterback. Ladies and gentlemen, let me know what you think about this B- from ESPN as they graded the Houston Texans offseason. I get it. Seems like this was a little bit too technical, a little too harsh if they're bringing up, contracts and voiding years. Look at the moves we brought in as a whole, and you can see this is an A off season. Let me know what you guys think. For more Houston Texans content, follow me for more. Go Houston. Have a very blessed day.